So under section 46 of the Firearms Act, we are able to come into the property to recover those firearms if they believe you pose a danger.
This is one of 2 guns that Cole Sawyer was forced to surrender to armed police that came to his door on a Sunday afternoon last August. The officers didn't have the correct paperwork or a warrant, but they still took his shotguns. Carl, who lives in Balderton near Newark, trains gun dogs. These are 2 he's working with for a friend. His guns are essential for his work. Now he has to rely on other shooters to bring their guns to training sessions. When the officers came to his door, he tried to hold on to his shotguns.
Yeah, and we said it wouldn't look favourably if you wouldn't voluntarily surrender them on the basis of what we've discussed about, obviously, the Home Office. I've just given you...
By the fact that you've refused us to enter, we've had to go down the revocation road. That's
so you've asked for a revocation?
No, we haven't.
This has been put back, as I've said, when you've refused to voluntarily hand them over. This has gone back to our Chief Inspector in the control room, who's then spoke to firearms. It'll be certificate, shotguns.
I was shocked. I didn't know anything about why. There's obviously no previous warning. I was just shocked. I was in shock. Without the proper paperwork that those 2 officers should have presented to me, I was cautious about handing over 2 lethal weapons. And I think I'm quite right to do so. But because I didn't hand it over, because they didn't have any proper paperwork, they've revoked my licence. If they'd have explained it properly in the first place, we wouldn't have gone through all this. The licence wouldn't have been revoked in the first place, there and then. And that is the fault of the police, not my fault. I showed caution as a licence holder, as a responsible licence holder.
Not a what?
I sent you a firearms, not a shotgun one, but I think it's exactly the same, it's just different.
Yeah.
The male officer also looked at the tablet of the female officer, and he spotted it was a revocation for a firearm certificate, to which I don't hold, never held. And basically from that I complied, and I said to them, right, I'll go and get my guns. I told them, I opened the front door and I said, you stay there and I'll go and get them. I went upstairs to get the guns, and when I came back in, the officer had stepped inside.
The officers told Carl that previous physical health issues were the reason they were taking the guns. They issued a revocation by email after he refused to hand over his guns on an earlier visit.
I'd not done anything. I couldn't think what had caused this visit, apart from the fact that we knew, as the shooting fraternity knows, that the police overreact when the tragedy happened in Plymouth, when things like this happen, that the police overreact. They only seem to do it to shoot us.
Carl made an appeal to get his shotgun licence back. Former Detective Constable Ian Angus, who shoots game birds and clays, has been helping him in his battle with the police.
In my personal ex-professional position as a police officer, this has been an absolute cock-up of the first order, and nobody in Nottinghamshire Police seems to want to have anything to do with it. When I first got the phone call from him on that Sunday afternoon, my exact words were to him, don't open the door. If they haven't got a warrant, you don't let them through the door. Unfortunately, the solicitor he spoke to advised him otherwise, and once the Nottinghamshire Police had seized his weapons, that was the matter over and done with. They had control of the situation, and they then started treating him absolutely appallingly, as they did myself when I tried to arrange for the collection of the guns.
Carl's guns that the police took were worth around £6,000. He persuaded the police to release them to a registered firearms dealer. He's been appealing to get his licence and his guns back.
Everything is biased against the shooter, against the shooting fraternity. The police are always against us. And if we've got just cause to challenge them in court, no matter what we do, whether they're right or wrong, we never get paid out on our expenses.
Carl has been forced to sell this gun to a friend to cover his legal bills. He's now dropping his appeal because he cannot afford the tens of thousands of pounds it will cost to go to Crown Court Carl needs his certificate back to continue working with gun dogs without needing someone else to bring a gun to the training session.
I'm frustrated, very frustrated. It wants me to want to give up on what I've started and what I know I'm good at. But I needed that gun as a tool. I wanted to be independent. And when I spoke to the firearms licensing manager previously, the predecessor to this firearms licensing manager, she accepted that. She went through it with my solicitor. And she went through it and she said, yes, okay, I'll give you a certificate for 5 years and with a 1-year review. But, and she warned me, that if there was any problems, the licence would be revoked. There have been no problems whatsoever. But she'd given me a chance. I am now independent, or was independent. Now I'm not.
I'm disgusted with the system. The whole system is against the shooter as we currently speak. I'm disgusted with a number of the shooting fraternity societies who have rescinded on their the insurance. And the system is so wrong. Somebody needs to take the whole system by the throat and literally shake it up and just say, right, from top to bottom, the Firearms Act needs completely rewriting and it needs to be done on a fair and proper manner.
In a statement, Inspector Georgie Newton of Nottinghamshire Police said, "We cannot comment on individual cases." The inspector also said Nottinghamshire Police has strict processes for revoking firearm licences.